Welcome to the midlife crisis episode.
Welcome.
The podcast is officially 40 years old.
Wow.
No, this is the 40th episode of the podcast. Who would have thought, defying all the odds,
Yes.
we've made it to 40. I've wanted to quit probably 39 times. Maybe 35. Usually, man, if I edited in the beginning of these podcasts, which is basically just Sarah saying, it's going to be good. We just have to do it. And me saying, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's stop.
But we have fun.
But we do the podcast, and it is, you know, I do enjoy doing the podcast. What it is I would like this to be more of an interactive experience for a lot of people, but we don't really have the audience for that yet. Now,
We're getting there.
we are continuing to grow. Day by day, video by video, the channel's growing. But
Yeah.
I want to be able to answer some of your guys' questions. So right at the top, if you've got any questions, it can be about anything. I'll answer whatever.
Yep.
Put them in the comments and we will get to them in the next video.
We
But we
will.
do have a couple fun things to talk about today.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't have an icebreaker, but I'm sweating.
And you're wearing a new shirt?
I got a new shirt. This is by another one of my favorite YouTubers, Alan Thrall. He was somebody that I watched when I first started getting into fitness, 2016, 15 probably, right as we were getting out of college.
Okay.
I don't even know how I found him. He was a big power lifter. He has since moved on to other things, but I was always interested in powerlifting because I'm fat and I'm covered in hair. So I was never really interested in bodybuilding because you needed to be not fat and not covered in hair. So that wasn't for me. But I was like, hey, I'm a little strong. And so he was one of the first powerlifters that I came across. I fell in love with his channel. He's got an incredible gym. It's on my bucket list to go to Sacramento. It's called the Untamed Strength. Anyway, he was doing a sale. It's a great shirt. I don't know if you can see it, but it says lift with your back, and it's a boar deadlifting.
Yeah.
It fits. It's a great shirt for me.
It's a great shirt.
I love the message as well because I always try and tell people that we have been preached to by, you know, the nebulous them of medicine, that lifting with your back is inherently dangerous and it's going to cause you slip disc and et cetera, et cetera. Not true in any way. Deadlifts are not inherently injurious, no matter what anybody says. A trained exercise for a specific individual in a intelligently dosed program is not going to be any more injurious than a random move in your day-to-day life.
I think that's the important point, the intelligently dosed.
Right.
I should not go try to deadlift 200 pounds.
Exactly.
That would be unintelligent.
But you do Romanian deadlifts, and you have built yourself to a point where you can do a pretty hefty amount of Romanian deadlifts, yes?
Yes.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Exactly. I think, people just randomly trying to lift something really heavy with their back, you could injure yourself.
True.
For sure.
But you could also not injure yourself.
Right. But yeah, to, progressively overload, learn the technique, do it well, do it a lot.
I just think it's I don't know where this came from, and maybe it comes from a good place, but there's this idea that the body is so incredibly fragile.
It's really not.
It's not, man. It heals itself from a lot of stuff. So I'm sure that these people that are saying, hey, don't lift with you, they don't want you to have a debilitating injury. A lot of the times they're trying to cover their ass because it's usually employers that are like, hey, we can't pay you workman's comp for 4 weeks if you slip a disc. So I get it. I get where it comes from. But all I'm trying to say is stop commenting on people's posts where they're deadlifting and saying, oh, your back probably feels great, doesn't it? I guarantee you their back feels better than
really
yours.
Great. Yeah.
I promise you. You want to know when my back pain went away? When I started conventionally deadlifting. I haven't had back pain in what?
A long time.
I used to have debilitating back pain. You don't remember?
You used to have a really bad
It was
when
horrible.
you were overweight and
when I was
not active.
overweight, not active, horrendous back pain. Guess what? Not a sight of it. Touch wood. Let's see. Watch me slip a disc tomorrow when I deadlift.
Yeah,
But
please don't do that.
this is just what I'm trying to say. The body is a little bit more resilient than the masses would have you believe.
Yeah.
Sorry. Again, I'm hyped up. Just came back from cardio. Cardio's been going really well.
Yeah.
3 straight weeks.
Nice.
Feeling pretty good.
Getting your
Soaked in sweat.
15,000 every day.
Yep. Getting 15,000 every day. But yeah, what's going on with you? Jeez.
It's a busy time for work right now.
Yeah,
I think
you're
it's so interesting how different sectors
schedules are,
have
yeah.
how different sectors of like the economy have different busy times. Like
Yeah.
right now, in terms of being a personal trainer,
I am
it
not
is
doing anything.
It's not a busy time for you.
Yeah.
You have time to focus on your like YouTube and other things that sometimes you're a little bit too busy to fully focus on. This time of year is really heavy for healthcare.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You can almost set your watch by it.
You're going,
But it's a very busy time right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of like
Treading water.
hanging on.
No, I think you're not treading water. You're actually doing a lot
Yeah.
of good things.
Yeah.
And, it's tough for sure. Like for me, this time, I love this time of year, but it is tough that my career really does grind to an absolute halt.
Yeah.
But I have supplemented that with obviously the YouTube channel and, just trying to prepare myself. I always try and like do a coaching project during this time of the year. So last year I made my website over, in November, December, so that I could launch it in January.
Right.
This year I'm working on like better ways to communicate with my clients that it's not just like text messages or Discord messages back and forth. So it's a little bit more standardized because I want to scale the coaching business up right now.
Yep.
Like I have, 10 clients right now.
Yeah.
Most of them I see in person.
Yeah.
So I have that communication with them. But for my solo online people, it's great to be able to just send messages back and forth. But when I have 20 or 30, I'm not going to have the time to be as in depth with the messaging.
Yep.
So I'm trying to build like a Google form that I can send to them. And I started like sending them specific questions every Friday that I can then look at for when I do their new program on Saturday.
Okay.
And I want to kind of streamline that and make that more scalable.
Yeah.
So that's the big project
Yeah.
for the end of the year this
But yeah,
year.
I think that's a very smart way to use your time is, spending that bit of more downtime that you have to prepare for the push that's coming.
Right. Because January
It does
is
pick back up.
pretty chaotic.
Yes.
Which is nice. And I'm going to run a sale in January. I'm going to run referral sales in January. I'm doing everything I can to continue to build the coaching business. I have decided, I came to this decision a long time ago. I think I talked about it on a podcast, but I do not want to label myself as personal trainer anymore. I want to be a powerlifting coach. That is where I get most of my fulfillment. And that doesn't mean that I will only take powerlifters on, but I want to train people who, instead of 6 weeks to ripped abs, I want to train people for the long-term strength goals that I think powerlifting is more associated with, even non-competitive powerlifting. I've got a couple of video ideas kicking around in my head about how impactful powerlifting can be as a structure for general self-improvement. Because obviously you can compete, and I love to compete in the sport. I like to take people through competitions. I like to watch competitions. But I think powerlifting in general, the emphasis on the barbell movements, the big three lifts, the emphasis on technique, the emphasis on muscle mass lends itself better for a lot of people than let's get shredded, let's go on a diet, let's do high intensity interval training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are people that gravitate towards that. That's totally fine. I don't want to train those people anymore.
Yeah.
My interests are more so in another area.
Yeah.
It's
Everybody
not
has a
anybody's problem.
Everybody has a specialty.
But I like nutrition. I do coach nutrition, but I have found that 9 times out of 10, the online nutrition coaching works really well when it is supplemental to the strength training rather than you're only coming to me for diet help.
Yeah.
It's just very, very difficult to do that with distance. I'm sure some people have figured it out, but without like a daily check-in process in a diet, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Now, if my people have a goal, a weight class or something to get to, I've found that they're more likely to adhere to the nutrition parameters that we've set up for that specific weight class because
fair.
then that allows them to compete or perform the best.
Yeah.
So it's no longer, the goal is no longer weight loss. The goal is I want to perform at my best. And these are the fundamental things I have to do. Sleep has to be better. Nutrition has to be better,
Yeah,
etc.
that's a little bit more motivating than like, I'd like to lose a pound.
So that's why, through this whole year, I've been thinking about why I finally was able to have success with a diet.
Yeah.
When I had tried for
So
what,
many.
6-7 years.
So long.
I've always had a problem with my weight, and I've never been able to really grasp what I was lacking in terms of motivation or discipline. And it was this, I think my rewards were tied to the wrong thing. Weight loss, I thought, okay, if I lose weight, I'm going to look better. And that's going to make me feel better. And then I got there and it didn't do any of that. So, and it, again, this is my individual journey. You may get to that weight, look better, feel better, have more confidence. That's awesome. But it wasn't the case for me because I had fallen in love with powerlifting and was not able to perform my best at 242 pounds. Now, I think that in general, a lot of people will find it easier to say, I want to powerlift. I want to be, or I want to train in that powerlifting style. I want to be the strongest that I can be. How do I set nutrition up to successfully do that and take the focus off of weight loss?
Yeah, I think nutrition and weight loss is, you have the best results when it's not your main focus.
I agree.
I really do. It's like when you see that this is just something else that's serving your goals.
Yes, I agree 100%.
I don't know. I feel like it's so easy when you're on a diet or like wanting to lose weight or whatever. Even if you're wanting to gain weight, it's so easy to just focus so much on that you get depressed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I think, been both of our experience.
I think it's a lot of people's experience. From everybody that I've talked to, they've had some type of story like that.
I think that's why people give up on it and aren't able to achieve what they want. It's because it's just not a great goal to focus on. I don't know why. Psychologically, I think it just really messes with people. But when that's like a tool in your tool belt or like just kind of a supplementary goal, I think it works so much better. I
have come to the same realization. I've had clients that have come to the same realization. I don't want to make any sweeping claims because again, everybody's individual, but I do think as a supplement, it's way easier.
Yeah. I think it's like, you generally know what you need to do with your nutrition to reach this other goal. You kind of achieve that weight loss or body composition goal along the way.
Secondarily.
Yeah. You achieve it.
I also think that might be one of the bigger problems that we have with maintenance because when we're diet focused, and when we're weight focused, once we get to that goal weight that we've wanted, we don't have any reason to stick with, the better nutrition habits that we've formed.
But if you're still trying to perform well in the gym, you're still trying to hit PRs.
That may give you a little bit extra boost in maintenance.
To make some to continue your good habits, maybe with a little bit less strictness.
Well, I'll say for me, my experiment with maintenance, I give it a C+.
Yeah.
But I will say that it's a lot better than it would have been had I not had my eye on a weight class.
You get better at maintenance every time you do it.
I do.
I mean, the first 4 times it was a total fail.
Horrendous.
I think you would say that too. I don't think it's mean.
No,
I don't think it's mean of me to say that.
No, that's 100% real.
And then last time it was kind of like a D. Last holiday season.
Well, that was really tough too because I was depressed based on my competition result. Right. So that was a whole can of worms.
Right. You were dealing with something a little extra there. And then this time you had a lot more success. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's what you wanted it to be necessarily, but I think it's much better. I think you're getting there.
I've had more control overall. I've had my bad days here or there, but I've had more of an idea of food is it's just a part of daily life. Yeah. It doesn't have to be this thing that I've made it out to be in the past. Yeah. So I've been able, we had Friendsgiving last weekend and I had 1 plate.
That's
which
a first
is
for
unheard of.
That's a first for you.
Let me tell you, 1 and I only had a couple desserts.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
Yeah.
Absolutely unheard of.
It is.
And I went to train the morning of.
Yes, you did.
So, it's incremental steps.
Yeah.
Now I could also point to a couple weeks ago when I went to the Dunkin' Donuts and got, so there's definitely push and pull.
Yeah. I might have eaten more than you at Friendsgiving.
I think you did.
Nice.
There's more control. Yeah. Something that I really want to do. I always talk about mindful eating and mindfully eating as something that I don't really subscribe to because in my experience, I've never been very good at it, but I don't think I've ever really done it. You know what I mean?
No,
Mindful
totally
eating
haven't.
for me has been an excuse to just eat whatever I want.
Right. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I think for you, you kind of like food comes in front of you and you like black out.
Time to mindfully eat this whole pizza, you know, like that's not mindful eating. The way that the people that subscribe to mindfully eating, it's still an understanding of what you're consuming and putting in your body. There's still some stopgaps.
And like how it makes you feel.
So, you know, I was thinking about this yesterday. That's something that I really want to start to experiment with for the rest of this year and maybe try and see if I can have success with that throughout next year to maintain, you know, since I have done a lot of the work up front to understand calories and protein and macronutrients.
Yeah.
I can kind of be more mindful with what I'm eating and still hit my protein goal and still hit around my calories, right?
I'm interested to, I guess, learn a little bit more about how you develop those intuitive mindful eating skills. It's like before you eat, do you have to like meditate for a minute?
No,
And,
see,
like,
this is
how
why
do you do that?
This is why I've always kind of railed against it, is because obviously there can be issues with rigid calorie tracking.
Yeah.
It's not as extreme as some people will have you believe. Some people will say, oh, if you track calories, you're a one-way train to eating disorder.
And that's
Not true. They've done studies. A lot of people can maintain rigid tracking for a long period of time with no adverse psychological effects.
Yeah.
However, some people definitely do have issues with tracking.
Yeah.
So it's this easy thing to say, oh, just intuitively eat. But that leaves us nowhere because fat people, and I'm talking about when we intuitively eat, we get fat. That's what got us there in the first place.
Right.
When you intuitively eat, you have the hunger, the stop signals, and you listen to them. I have the stop
of the
signals
time.
and I say, boom, I plow
Like, I
right
can
through.
do more.
It's like, oh, there's still food on my plate, or oh my God, that tasted so good. Let's have 4 more pieces, right? So this idea that you can just intuitively eat without doing any of the work is garbage. It's baloney.
And I don't really know what the work, quote unquote.
Well, the work is, for me, the work was getting in the weeds with nutrition and understanding how many calories are actually in the things that I was eating. If you had told me when I was 330 pounds that I was eating around 6,000 calories a day, I would have said, you're crazy. I don't eat that much. But I was eating such nutrient-dense foods at such even at a medium level of intake that it was pushing my calories way, 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 way too far.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. And I think a lot of people can really benefit from just even understanding what portion sizes are. How many calories are in these snacks that you're reaching for.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Nobody knows this stuff. So how can you intuitively eat
if you don't
know?
Yeah.
Because as we always say, the food companies are working tirelessly to make sure that you just keep eating because it tastes so damn good. They are smarter than you, folks. They are.
Yep.
So you have to really, I really think everyone can benefit from even a month or 2 months of tracking.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Or even if it's not tracking, like if you're someone who can't do that, measuring, like being a little bit more in tune with
exactly.
what is a
Tracking's
serving size.
Exactly. I'm not talking about like bodybuilding style tracking, like every grain of rice.
Right.
I'm talking about the recipe calls for a cup of rice. What is a cup of rice? How many calories are actually in this? Am I someone who really wants to lean on more of the protein in this dish rather than a cup of rice? Can I get away with a half cup of rice? That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about 1,200 calories for dinner and then eat. That's stupid. I'm talking about being a little bit more in tune with what you are preparing, what you're consuming, the environment in which you're consuming it. I'm telling you what, folks, if you eat in a different place, let's say you eat in front of the TV every night. If you, for a week, move to a different room of your house, to a different table, and you eat without media, I think that you will see that your stop signaling in terms of you feeling full, it does work. You're just not listening to it because you're distracted. I'm speaking from personal experience.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about intuitive eating. So that's something I've not done the work to do that.
Yeah.
Intuitive eating for me has been a time to go crazy. And it's the excuse of, oh, I'm just eating intuitively.
Intuitive eating. I feel like 5 pieces of pizza is dinner tonight.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that is my intuitive eating.
That's your
I'm
intuition,
telling you.
yeah.
That is how I got in the situation in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not like I wanted to overeat to the point of unhealth.
Right.
I did it because I was like, oh, I have no idea what I'm consuming. So let's just keep consuming it.
Right. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power, especially in nutrition.
Yeah.
That brings us to a new segment
Okay.
that I want to try and do every week. But I may not come across. I try not to be on social media that much. But this is stupid stuff on social media that I've seen this week that has really just made me upset. So I came across, I'm not going to say who this guy is. Let's just say he's a big name in the fitness Instagram space.
And he has like a bodybuilder look. Like he's really shredded. He's got 6-pack abs, very strong.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's posted a thread in which he says it's a day of eating. Now, it's not what he says. I'm going to give you the punchline first. So he says, at the end of this, if you ate like this 80% of the time, you'd be fitter than 90% of the population. And this is how he would have you eat. Wake up. 1 glass of water, 1 black coffee or espresso. So if you're playing along at home, 0 calories so far. Meal number 1, egg whites, fruit of choice. Let's say serving of egg whites is usually 4 to 6 egg whites. Mm-hmm. That's about 150 calories. Mm-hmm. Okay. Fruit of choice. Let's say you're doing a cup. That's a lot. But let's for
one apple.
For the benefit of the doubt, let's say a cup of like berries or an apple, between 80 and 120 calories. So you keep hold of the math here. That's 270 so far. So that's your first meal. Snack, Greek yogurt with chocolate protein powder. Now, let's say you're doing the fat-free Greek yogurt. That's going to be 110 calories. Protein powder, let's say 160 calories. That'll be the average of a lot of the protein powder. So where are we at so far?
We're at 540.
540. That's 2 meals. Meal number 3, dinner, right? So you're not having lunch.
No lunch.
The snack is your lunch. That 240 calories.
So we've got meal 1, snack, and dinner.
Yep.
Okay.
So dinner, steak/fish of choice. Now let's give him the benefit of the doubt and use the steak here because the fish.
The steak's going to be twice the calories.
Right.
Of the fish.
So if you're eating 6 to 8 ounces, let's say it's a New York strip, probably going to be, let's average it out to like 600 calories. Okay. That's going to get you in the middle because there's some that are less fatty, some not. So let's say 600 calories. Serving of rice. So let's say, again, let's give him a lot of rice. Let's go 2 servings of rice, 220 calories. Okay. Veggies, 0.
Yeah.
Late night snack, frozen cherries/frozen grapes. Again, if we're going half cup, you're going to be lucky to get 80 to 120 calories there. So let's put 120. Let's continue to give this fine gentleman the benefit of the doubt. That brings us to
1480.
1,500 calories. And that... The conceit is if you eat like that, you're going to be fitter than 90% of the population.
You'll be pretty skinny.
I will posit that you would be thinner than 90% of the population, but we have to remove ourselves from the idea that thin equals fit.
Right.
That's not true.
That's great. That is an insane amount. Like that's like
this is a
11-year-old's diet.
This is a medical intervention diet.
Yes.
This In all honesty, this diet would be done under medical supervision.
Right, you should go to.
It's
you
that
should be
low.
With a bariatric
now,
physician.
unless you're naturally 90 pounds, right? Like,
not even then.
We're speaking averages here. The average human needs more than this to survive. Let's not even begin to talk about the protein content in this.
Yeah, I mean,
what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the protein, you've got the steak, the Greek yogurt, and the protein powder.
Maximum, you're getting 80 grams.
Yeah.
So I guess for somebody that would be 100 pounds when they ate this, 80 grams is pretty good.
But there's no fat.
It's an absurd list of foods.
Yeah. I mean, this is less than half of what you eat every day.
Right. Now, I'm 275 pounds. I have a 25%, 26% body fat.
This is also less than what I eat in a day.
So there you go. Like, if you want to say, oh, you're just fighting against this because you're big and, sure, I have a big bias. I have a bias towards more fuel than less. I have a bias towards more carbs than less carbs.
Yeah.
Let's talk to you.
Yeah. This is not enough.
This is not
No.
enough.
And here's the other thing that I think is where you're going with this, is that this is a guy, he's muscular, he's shredded, but he's a big guy. There is no world where this is what he's eating.
Are you kidding me?
But the way that he's saying it is, this is what fit people like me eat.
Yeah.
That's not true.
The problem, and the next thing down, is what he eats, or what everyone should know about nutrition. It's a YouTube video. And in the thumbnail, he's flexing. This person is at least 230 pounds.
Easy.
There is no way on the physical earth that he's coming close to eating anything like that, and hasn't eaten like that since he was an infant child. But you have this level of authority when you can post a shirtless pic with a six-pack and rippling muscles that you've probably gotten from steroid use, that then people who, for no fault of their own, who have not been educated in the nutrition space,
They just follow it.
will follow it blindly, because they will look and say, that guy looks like how I want to look. I have to. Clearly, this is what he did. I have to do what he. And let me tell you what, the next thing coming is a plug for one of his services, probably an app, a nutrition app of some kind that you have to pay for, so that you can get horrendous advice like this.
Well, and here's the other thing. Like, here's where that goes, is I see this meal plan tweet. I'm like, okay, I want to be fit. I can do that. I try it for a week. I eat 1,400 calories a day for a week. I'm starving. I feel like garbage. This is terrible. I can't do it. I get upset. I eat a ton of chocolate cake and pizza. And I say, well...
And you're worse off than when you started.
And then I say to myself, well, I guess being fit just isn't for me. I'm just can't do it. I can't be like this guy.
You're hitting the nail on the head.
When really, you're perfectly capable. It's just bad advice.
Can we just, round of applause? That was perfect. That is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
That is exactly what happens.
Nobody can do that.
Nutrition is incredibly individual.
Yeah.
Right? So there may be some people that thrive on that. I find it hard to believe. It's going to be a very, very, very small percentage.
I'm sure there's at least one person.
Small percentage of the population.
Yeah.
What we need to do, and by we, I mean nutrition coaches and people in the space who are not trying to just make these huge sweeping generalizations on social media, is really start to fight against some of this stuff. And there are people that are doing it.
Yep.
And say, listen, take the benefit of the doubt. This guy probably wrote this because he sees an issue with obesity in this country. Let's say he's not trying to line his pockets, and he's got great, I'm giving him a lot of conceits here because he definitely is trying to line his pockets. But let's just say that he's got great motivation to help people in this country get a better grasp on their nutrition, because obesity and overweight issues are prevalent. It's a huge problem.
Huge problem.
There is a better way to go about it than that.
Yep.
And the counter argument was, it's just Threads or it's just Instagram. Well, if we want the collective intelligence of people on these platforms to continue to get better and better, then we have to start demanding more than just pithy tweets and threads that are like, eat this, you'll be fine. Eat less, move more. I mean, we can't keep doing this. We cannot keep spinning our wheels like this. It's not working for people.
It's just not actionable.
No.
It's not actionable.
This is the big problem, and something that it's taken us 30 minutes, but here we go. Social media does not lend itself towards effective nutrition and physical training, dispersion of information.
Yeah.
It is not a platform for that. It is a platform for polarization. It is a platform for sensationalism. And fitness, weightlifting, nutrition are not fields in which polarization and sensationalism can thrive effectively. So we're serving two masters. As someone who is trying to build their audience on these platforms, but also understands that fitness is incredibly individual, the curtain's been pulled back. The stuff that works on Instagram, on YouTube, on Threads, on Twitter does not work in a coaching business. So I have to live two lives. Coach Jonah and social media Jonah are going to package their information in a different way. Now, I try to make sure that those things are lined up as best they can.
Right. It's the things you put on social media will always be true.
100%. And they will always be core to what I believe as a coach.
Yeah.
But they will be packaged differently. They will be packaged with a little bit of sensationalism.
Yeah, they have to be.
If not, then nobody will see them. If I put out a 45-minute video in which I went through all of the nuance of building a daily nutrition plan, it would get 4 views and they'd be my wife, my parents, and my in-laws. That would be it.
Yeah.
So there has to be, so in this way, I kind of, cut him some slack a little bit, sure. But I think that this is just dangerously disingenuous.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just, if you want to give general meal plan advice, that's fine, but that's not a good general meal plan.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
You've hit it again. If you're going to give generals, you have to be more towards the average.
Right. About 700 calories more than that.
That's what generality is. So you could do that same post and have it more in line with the average. Let's say we've been recommended that males need to be between 15 and 25% body fat, females 20 and 30% body fat. You can do an average of how many human beings are in this country and then find the average calorie intake and then have more whole food choices within those calories.
Right.
And you can do the same exact post, but it's more accurate and would still be better than the people that are eating McDonald's twice a day. Right?
Absolutely.
So what is stopping you from doing that? A little bit of thought, a little bit of extra work. I find that horrendous as if that is your excuse.
Well, honestly, like for that was, what was it? Breakfast, snack, dinner.
4 meals.
Fruit.
The headers don't matter. 4 meals in
Yeah,
the day.
but 2 of them were snacks.
Right.
So 2 meals and 2 snacks.
Smaller meals, yeah.
Right. So if you take that same idea and you
add.
make it 3 regular size meals and 2 snacks,
Perfect.
you'd be at 2,000 calories
You'd
a day,
be at
which
probably
is
22,
the average,
23, which would be
That's
great
the average recommended
for the majority
intake
of human
for
beings.
most people.
Yeah.
And much less than most Americans are eating.
Imagine
It's not hard to take that from insane to reasonable. It's not hard.
This is what I'm trying to say. It's just either it's engagement baiting because he knows it's so bad, which I promise you he does.
I'm sure all the comments are, this is stupid.
Right.
This is wrong.
And so that, again, is another problem. He's just baiting engagement to try and get the post. But then the post is going to be seen by more people. And we're going to be in the same problem.
And we're still spreading misinformation.
Imagine a human being tried to eat like that and tried to exercise.
That was kind of it's like, not only are you going to have the failure if you just try to eat like that, but if you adopt a meal plan like this, you're probably also adopting a fitness plan.
You're going to pass out on the treadmill.
You'd never make it.
You would not be able to effectively strength train, which we know is better for you than all other types of exercise in terms of longevity, like living your life past a certain age with good quality, muscle retention, bone mass, etc. So it just does nothing, like what we just talked about. It does nothing for the supplemental fitness plan, strength training plan that you're doing. In fact, it actively takes away from it.
Yep, it does.
Man, and I just saw that right before we started.
Yep.
And I was like, we have to talk about
It's like,
this.
forget what we were going to talk about. We're talking about this.
Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
It just made me so upset.
Yeah. Well, can I tell you about a cute fitness reel I saw yesterday that I forgot to send to you?
Yeah.
So this guy was out for a jog and he comes across this like older lady who was also out for a jog. Have you seen this? So he talks to her. He's like, how far have you gone today? And she goes, 14 miles.
Whoa.
And he's like, that's awesome. Like, tell me how you got started with running. She's like, well, when I was 50-ish, I went to my doctor. He said, you've got a heart problem. Like, your heart is weak, basically. You've got to start walking.
Yeah.
She said, so I started walking. And I kept walking. And I got bored walking. So I started jogging. And he goes, and how old are you now? She says, 86.
Nice.
And she just ran the New York Marathon.
Yeah. I mean,
And she looks fantastic. I mean, she doesn't look
great.
86. It's just, there's so many good ways to find physical activity that you enjoy.
Yep.
And it's
truly,
just so good for you.
Truly.
But it was really cute. I forgot to send it to you. I meant
It's a good one.
It was very sweet.
So you want to talk a little bit about staying on track during the holidays?
Yeah, let's do it.
So this was the original topic before I saw this. So I do have a video on this channel. I will link it. Check it out for a more targeted approach.
Yeah.
Again, different packaging. But in this podcast, we can go a little bit deeper, which is why we have this podcast. The holidays are a very difficult time, obviously, especially in America when we've made the holidays very, very much around food.
Yeah.
We have a whole day. Thanksgiving is just about food.
I think the whole world is like that. I think we take it to an extreme, but I think that every culture
Yes, to a certain
special
extent.
food
For
at
sure.
the holidays.
For sure. But I think our version of that is way more extreme.
like I said, we take it to the extreme.
I'll just say that.
But yeah, it's not an exclusively American.
Anyway, there's this idea, and I don't know if I'm off base with this, just let me know. But for me, it's like the idea now in popular culture is, just throw the yoke of oppression off of yourself and just enjoy the last 2 months of the year. Just eat whatever you want and don't make anybody feel bad that you brought meal prep to Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, and don't call into account that you're still trying to, you're just going to make everybody feel bad in the office if you don't eat one of the cookies at the Christmas party. You know what I mean? Am I off base on that?
I think there's, two camps. It's like
Throw
do
caution
whatever
to the
you
wind.
want, eat whatever you want, or like
Rigid.
all the sad almond moms who aren't eating anything.
Yeah. But I think what I'm trying to say is we have swung towards the throw the yoke of
Yes.
oppression.
I think that's what most
That's
people
where
do.
we're at right now.
That's what
now
most
we may swing back to bring your Tupperware of chicken breast to Thanksgiving dinner and piss your grandmother off, but hopefully we don't, because I do think, first of all, if we're just talking about Thanksgiving, one day is not going to derail a year's worth of progress. If you are stressing about losing your gains or losing all of the momentum that you've made this whole year for one day, I want to put your mind at ease. That's not how this works.
Right.
It is a long-term process, and just like one day of dieting is not going to make you achieve the goal that you want to achieve, one day of not dieting is not going to ruin the goal that you're working towards achieving.
It might make you hold on to a little bit water
Sure.
the next morning.
Sure.
So maybe don't weigh yourself the day after Thanksgiving. Maybe skip a day.
That is a very actionable tip. Don't
worry
weigh
about
yourself
it.
for a week,
Yeah.
but just understand
It's not going to change your progress.
you may look a little bit more bloated. Guess what? You just ate a lot
Everybody
of
does.
salt.
Everybody's going to look more bloated the day after
You may not
Thanksgiving.
feel great. Again, guess what? You just ate a lot of salt, and probably a lot more than just salt. So give yourself grace the day after Thanksgiving or the day after Christmas dinner or whatever it is,
Yeah.
a Christmas party, whatever, and get back on track.
Yeah.
And on track doesn't have to mean incredibly rigid.
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of value in manipulating your diet phases around phases in your life. I try and do this. I know that because we have to travel so much to see our families for Christmas and for Thanksgiving, I am not going to be on track with my weightlifting or my diet. So I don't schedule any competitions for the months of November, December, January, February.
Yeah.
I also don't put myself in a deficit for the months of November, December, January, February. There's a reason that this time is called bulking season, folks, because you can get away with a little bit more when you're in a maintenance phase or a bulking phase and still keep an eye on your nutrition without feeling horrendous because you've ruined a deficit.
Yeah. I think it's very possible to still make sure you're hitting your protein
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is all about turkey. Just, eat plenty of turkey, but still enjoy the things, that you want to enjoy. So you can still, be mindful of hitting certain goals without worrying too much about the details. And I think that's
a great point.
I think there's also a lot of opportunities to stay active. You're not doing any heavy weightlifting, but go on a family walk.
The weather's better. You can be outside more.
Play a football game with your family. There's there's even, the turkey trots and 1 mile walks if your family wants to do that together,
go
that would
for
be
it.
Super fun. There's a lot of fun things you can do to stay active and not. It's easy to get really sedentary during the holidays.
So you do have to have a little bit of effort.
So you got to plan ahead. It's like I'm going to instigate a family walk every day.
Yeah,
that's great.
Right.
But you got to probably plan ahead on that. But it's more than possible to
Absolutely.
still get your steps, still stay a little bit active.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a community gym or a local branch of your regular gym that you can hit once or twice. But, just do your best.
That's the thing, is I've learned through 3 holidays now since I've turned my life around that it does you no good to wallow in what could have been had you stayed rigid. First of all, you probably wouldn't see your family, which hopefully, I hope that you have a family that you want to see and that you enjoy seeing. But for me personally, that not seeing them would make me feel worse than, staying here and staying rigidly on my plan or on my diet or whatever,
Sometimes in life there's trade-offs that are positive.
And I think, like I said, set yourself up so that those trade-offs are not as painful as like if I had a competition in January, those trade-offs would be really, really painful for me. So I don't allow that to happen. You have agency in your life. Yep. You have agency in your schedule, especially if we're talking about corollary hobbies, which if you're a powerlifter or a bodybuilder, maybe you're professional. And if you are a professional, then there's another level that you have to go to.
Well, I'm telling you what, there's a reason Mr. Olympia isn't scheduled for December 3rd.
Right. But it is scheduled it was last weekend.
I know it was.
But we have
pre-Thanksgiving, mind you.
Exactly. But so the level of commitment requires a level of discipline. So if your goal is to be on the Olympia stage, like we always say, or to be a pro strongman or whatever, powerlifter, the level of discipline has to go up. And those trade-offs have to go more towards your physical fitness. But if you are a hobbyist or if you are an intermediate, understand that when you're 65, 70, 80, nobody's going to care what place you came in the local powerlifting meet or
Yeah, it's more important to enjoy the time with your family.
But only you can make that decision.
Right.
For me personally, I love competing and I take it very seriously. And I love coaching and I love getting stronger. But I'm 29, almost 30. Family is more important to me. And that may be the case for you. That may not be the case for you. Whatever it is, you have to come to terms with the choices that you're going to make with how you balance those things.
Absolutely.
But the worst thing you can do is really you make the choice from familial pressure or whatever and just beat yourself up the whole time.
Right. You have to give yourself grace.
So if you do make the choice
for fitness goals, it's not the time to have a strict fitness goal.
It's really difficult. Culturally, it is very, very difficult.
It's the time to focus on staying as active as you can, eating as well as you can while still having, an enjoyable holiday.
Right.
It's, that's really all it boils down to, the chair's
butt is
struggling
falling asleep on the chair.
My
here.
butt is also falling asleep.
Well, there you go, folks. If you want a little bit more in-depth,
the video is really good. You should.
The social media rants took all the energy out of me. I don't have any more energy to talk about this.
Yeah, it was a very serious rant.
It just makes me so mad.
I know. It's so
Does
frustrating.
it not make you upset?
It's so frustrating because you know that people are just falling for it because they don't know. There's a lot of people who want to be able to be fit. And it just makes it seem so inaccessible when it's not.
The other thing that I didn't really talk about, but selfishly, it makes my job 1,000% harder.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the level of authority that guy has, shirtless, posting pics on Instagram. I'm 285 pounds. I do not have the traditional look of someone who knows what they're talking about when it comes to strength and nutrition. So now I have to do twice as much work to garner trust from a potential client because of this horse head.
Right. He's giving bad advice, but people inherently believe it.
Right.
You're giving good advice,
but
and you have to work a little harder.
I don't get the benefit of the doubt. Which that's my life, dude. Don't catch me over here crying and whining about it. I've chosen this life. And the people that actually do listen to me really do start to understand that I know what I'm talking about. I don't have any issues with that.
But it's a little frustrating, I'm sure, to see somebody who is giving terrible advice.
Dude, let's take it away from me. It makes all of us on the side of individual, actual help for human beings. It makes all of our jobs harder.
Yep.
100%. So that's why I got so upset.
Yeah.
We'll call it there. I'm losing my voice. I was talking so crazy. That's another one in the books, folks. 40 episodes. Who would have thought?
We're old.
If you're not subscribed yet, I don't know what the heck you're doing. Subscribe to the channel so you can get the podcast every Monday.
Yeah.
Except for Mondays when we don't put it out. Sometimes
every Monday except for when it's not there.
Yeah.
But mostly it's there.
Sometimes we're not going to put it out because we got other stuff going on.
And here's the thing. It's the holidays.
Yeah.
We're going to give
try.
ourselves some grace.
Yep.
But we might miss a week.
We're going to try to get them out for the end of the year. But we both have jobs too. If this was our only job, for sure you'd get a podcast every Monday.
We're going to try not to miss 2 weeks in a row. How about that? That's going to be us giving grace to ourselves for the holiday season. We might miss a week, but we won't miss 2 weeks. We won't miss 2 in a row.
Thank you guys for watching.
Yep.
Subscribe to the channel. Follow us both on Instagram. Like this video. Follow me on Threads so you can see me fight with clowns. I don't actually do that. I do that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Anything else to plug?
Nope. I think that's it.
There you go. All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. We'll see you next week, potentially.